How you doing, America? I just thought, with what we have going on in the world right now, I would share my opinion on what it is. And I normally don't post things like this, but I feel like all Americans um, need to express, or at least maybe show other Americans how they feel about the war, because or the excursion into Iran and what that means for us as Americans and for the world at large. First off, I am a Donald Trump supporter. I voted for him 3 times. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with everything he does, but um, I think he has the direction of the American, or what he wants the direction of America to go, and I generally agree with that direction. I will say this: I think we as Americans have uh, definitely lost our way, and we've gotten into our own little bubble in the world where if it's not on front of our screen, or what's happening in the next 5 minutes is the only thing that matters to us. And I think that we have become very complacent as a country, and this is for Republicans and Democrats. We have become very complacent in the world, and in our view. And I will say this about Donald Trump: is he's looking 100 years in the future, not the next week or the next month. When he's doing things and he's making moves, he's working on a 4D chessboard, and everyone else is playing checkers. And whether or not you agree with that statement doesn't mean that it's any less real. And there can be multiple reasons. With his America First policy, we can help Americans first. That doesn't mean we're not helping other people. And what he's doing is he's taking the bad, which is China, Iran, and Russia, and he's dealing with them. And just because you don't understand the moves does not mean that it's not happening. Um, you know, Everyone wants to talk about international law and sovereign countries. He went into Venezuela and took Maduro out because he was a bad guy. Does that also have alternate um, consequences? Of course it does. Um, if you if you look at now where are we going to get energy from, that helps. It's also helps the Venezuelans people. And this situation with Iran, it did numerous things. One, it started to show who our true allies were and who's been leeching off America. And there's been a lot of countries leeching off America since World War II, basically. And he's tired of it. He's told them, get more money for defense. He's told them, um, start building up your defense, learn how to protect yourself, start being an ally. And what happens at the first sign of trouble? They run. They don't want anything to do with it because they've lost the difference, or they've lost their moral compass on what is between right and wrong. Iran has no good intentions. And yes, they're halfway around the world from America, and we don't have to see them. However, they've been causing problems for 47 years. And I know we can go back before that, and I know that the United States, we and Britain had our oil companies in there. We helped prop up the Shah, but you can't tell me that that region wasn't more peaceful when the Shah was in power than when the Ayatollahs are in power. And since they've come, they have a bunch of rogue armies in Lebanon, Syria, and in Yemen, across the Middle East, that is just nothing but causing problems. And finally, we have a president that's going to do something about it, because all they've been doing is causing problems, especially in Europe. And I can't believe that Europe has decided that they don't want to be part of this anymore. And I'm not going to say all Europe, because the Polish people and the Polish government have been um, they've been seeing what's happening, and they definitely didn't want any of that migration coming into illegal migration coming into their country. But overall, I know why he didn't talk to any of our quote unquote allies, is because he knew they couldn't do anything. Britain can't, their own base gets bombed, and it takes them 3 weeks to get one boat Britain used to have the greatest navy in the world, and they can't even get one boat out to a small island to take care of it. Um, or I should say, I don't know if technically, I don't know if Cyprus is an island, but they couldn't get a boat to Cyprus. They had to get help from the French and the Greek uh, Navy to help them out. So he's exposing NATO and the European Union for what it actually is. He calls them a paper tiger. There's many names you could call them, but at the end of the day, uh, they can't do anything. And he's 100% right. As I was sitting there, as this war's been going on, and I'm like, well, we got to open up the strait. We got to open up the Strait of Hormuz so that we can get oil flowing for all the other countries. And then after he said, you know what? I'm not going to mess with the strait. And that to me was very interesting. And when I actually sat back and thought about it, I go, that's a masterclass move. We don't use the oil. Yes, oil prices are affecting us, but we are in no danger of running out of gas in the United States. But other countries, such as Australia, England, some of the other European countries, they have huge problems because they're going to run out of oil. Well, they physically won't be able to get oil. And this is going to reshape global alliances, global trade, and global power going into the 21st century, or what's left of the 21st century, because all these liberals in the West that have allowed this to happen and have allowed all this green energy, and I'm not against alternative fuels whatsoever. I'm against them whenever they're being forced down our throat, and whenever they're outlawing gas motors and fossil fuels, because that's what runs the world is fossil fuels. And yes, we can move to that greener energy, but it has to be done in a responsible manner. And right now, it's not. I mean, you look at California, and all they're doing is outlawing everything that has to do with fossil fuels and taxing the crap out of it. And then they're complaining about their gas prices being $6 to $7. I mean, it's lunacy that they even think that that's okay. But what it's going to force countries to do, if they don't have, no countries have enough green energy to be self-sufficient. They need oil. And these countries that think that green is going to save them, well, they're going to find out real fast that they need to fight for every barrel of oil that comes. And the United States is not going to be their big brother and protect them anymore if they're not willing to put up their fair share. And he's exposing all these Western countries that essentially have been leeching off the United States and my tax dollars and your tax dollars, and then complaining about how we provide that protection for them. And that's the part that's very frustrating as an American, is that our liberal media, instead of supporting our president, supporting the American people, it's the same people that talk about all these immigrants coming in that are illegal. It's the same people that want all this green energy. They don't want to stand up and fight for democracy and the Western way of life. What they want to do is ruin that. And that's very frustrating as a American, as a taxpayer, and that our president is doing something to protect not only our kids, but our grandkids, and guarantee America as the number one superpower that we've worked very hard, and many, many lives have died and have fought for this country to protect them and to give the West, quote unquote, around the world, the freedom that it has. And these liberals and the media, and not just in the United States, in many countries, are going to come to terms with the fact that if you don't protect and preserve democracy and the Western way of life, it will crumble. And I'm not going to blame it 100% on migration, but as they're trying to be friends to everybody and take all these people in that couldn't care less about their country that they're in. They just want to use that country and take as much resources as they can out of it. And even in the America, We have Somalis that are taking our tax dollars and shipping them back over to Somalia, that could be used against us, and that has shown that it has gone to terrorist organizations over there. There is not enough outrage in America from all parties. It shouldn't matter what party you are, that somebody is stealing our money and using it to kill Americans. The West has nobody to blame but themselves. And Donald Trump, thank God he was elected instead of Kamala or Tampon Tim, has a plan that is much greater than the average American can even comprehend or understand. And I know this sounds very insulting to most Americans, but I don't feel like Americans in general have read or studied or are taking back and looking at the position. Whether or not Iran was days away, months away, or weeks away um, to getting a nuclear weapon, they were 100% intent on getting it. And if the last 47 years haven't shown anything, then you just don't have your eyes open. And we in America need to stop thinking 5 minutes ahead, and you need to start thinking 5 years, 10 years, 100 years ahead. And I believe that's what Donald Trump is doing and the administration. And I think they're doing a great job at it. And the moves that they've made to kick out Russia, kick out China from our backyard, they're about to do it in Cuba again. And the Cuban people um, deserve liberation. You know, I find it very funny that all these minority groups, whether it be Venezuelans, Iranians, Cubans, across not just America, but across the world, uh, think that he's helping them out. Um, but yet, our media and the left and the liberals just talk about how Trump's ruining our friendships, how he's ruining our reputation. What kind of friend doesn't let you use an airbase when you're about to take out the leading sponsor of terror? That's not a friend. If I needed a vehicle because mine broke down and I needed to go to work, and my friend that has three vehicles, if I asked to borrow one and he's like, no, man, is he really your friend? Right? We've been, we've helped Europe many, many times, not just in World War One or World War II. We've helped Europe out numerous times. There, when there was a conflict over in Yugoslavia, we helped out there. Um, in Ukraine, we've sent. Now we can get into details about Ukraine and how much money we've sent them, and if it's being used correctly. But we've sent money to them. They're not even a NATO member. Russia is not on our doorstep. They're on the other, they're on Europe's doorstep, but Europe doesn't want them there. But what do they want? They want America's help. Well, guess what? We're going to find out who really is an ally of America and who's not. And I think this was a test, and Donald Trump is 100% right. We found out very quickly who our friends are and who aren't. And I hope we pull out of NATO, because I don't want my tax dollars going over there anymore to protect a place, a continent that thinks that America is just a bully, when they don't realize that we're the last bastion of freedom that can do anything about it, because Europe can't do jack. All they're doing is being overrun. Same as Australia. They can't do jack. And I love the Australian people. I love the European people. But they need to wake up, because if United States says figure it out on your own, we're done protecting you, we're the last country that can do anything about it. And the fact that these people just want to talk, talk, and talk and not do anything about it, they're about to find out. And I don't want I'm not looking for a world recession. I'm not looking for an American recession. I'm not looking for anybody to go through any type of financial pain or physical pain or anything like that. But choices have consequences. And when you continue to choose to let people in that don't believe in your way of life and your culture and expect different results, you're crazy. And I know, there's probably half of the people over in Europe that agree with me, and the other half don't. And the same here in the United States. But I'm just hoping that whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, at the end of the day, you need to sit back and look, not just what the media is saying now, not just what um, even people on the right or people on the left are saying about what's happening right now. You need to look past today, past tomorrow, and look into the future and ask yourself, are we on the side of good or are we on the side of bad? And if you think this world would be better run by China and Russia being the dominant forces in the world instead of the United States of America, then I don't know what to tell you other than buy a plane ticket and move over there, because the United States is the greatest country in the world. And the fact that people die trying to get here all the time, and that millions of people under the Biden administration were flocking here, because they know. And also, we let in the most legal immigrants out of any country in the world on a regular basis, too, over 1 million a year. Why would somebody risk their life and everything they have to get to America if it's not the greatest country in the world? We have our problems, we have our issues that we need to work through, but at the end of the day, America is a great country and we're the beacon of freedom across the world. And when we realize that we have power to influence, positive and negatively, but this is a positive for the entire Western world and for the world in general. Whether you agree with the United States or not, Iran having nuclear weapons is not a good thing. And I don't know how this war is going to end. And I'm assuming, this is just me speculating here, if we're not going to take Karg Island, we're going in for the uranium. I can't imagine that Donald Trump would finish this war without going in and getting what he originally stated. If he doesn't go in and we just leave after a couple weeks from now, I'll be really disappointed. But I feel like this is going to end with us going and get it, and then after that, the world's going to have to figure it out. And the countries that need the oil to protect their country and their economies, they're going to have to figure out how to go get it. And, I was doing a little bit of research, and even if there is a toll there, I'm not saying I want the Iranians to get it, but the Suez Canal has a toll, the Panama Canal has a toll. This might just be another place that has a tool, and they have to figure that out. And if the world doesn't like paying a toll, then you're going to have to do something about it. And it ain't going to be diplomatically, I can tell you that, because the Iranians, with the current regime, will not be diplomatic. You will have to use force. And sometimes the Tree of Liberty needs to be refreshed with the blood of patriots, and whether that's in America or anywhere in the West that believes in freedom. Sometimes you have to shed a little blood in order to preserve your way of life, because I can tell you this for sure: the Russians don't have a problem shedding blood. The Chinese don't have a problem shedding blood. And the Muslims do not have a problem shedding blood for their way of life. They've been doing it now for a long time. And we in America have gotten complacent, and we have forgot that you have to fight for what you believe in. And you can go around and say this is an illegal war and the whole 9 yards, but at the end of the day, it's what's right and what's wrong. And if you're an American and you believe in our way of life, then this is a no-brainer. You can argue all you want about it's not legal, or we didn't do it the right way, or we should have conducted with our allies. Our allies should have been on board and said, finally, someone has the balls to stand up to the Iranian regime and do something about it. That's what our allies should be saying, not complaining that, what are we going to do now? Oh, this isn't our war. It's not legal. Well, at the end of the day, we have to, as Americans, stand up for what we believe in is right. And this American thinks that what Donald Trump is doing is preserving America for not only me, but my kids and hopefully my grandkids. Let me know what you think in the comments.